Alright, so, how's it going, YouTube? Rock here. Borrowing a friend's potato, which is a much nicer, shinier, faster, better potato in every respect of the word, because my potato eats batteries like a fat kid at a candy store. Oh, I can hear the outrage for that comment already. You can't tell that about fat kid. Fat shaming, fat shaming. Big deal, grow a pair. Anyways, yeah, that thing's a pile. It's great when it works for a very short amount of time, and the camera quality is, well, as you can see, far below par of this, which is really nice, actually. So yeah, but today we're going to be discussing one of my later projects. I haven't posted much about my projects in a while, and as you can probably guess, it has something to do with grease. This time it's not my motorcycle. That, for all intents and purposes, is about done. There's probably a handful of things that could be done to it still. You know, like street legality, stuff like that. But we're just walking back from Mike's place because this is his camera. I hope this film isn't too shaky. It shouldn't be. But yeah, closest thing to a GoPro I own. Some little shit, by the way, has been fucking with my bike. See this bolt right here? That was tightened down. This one was tightened down by myself and only myself, and I found it loose on the ground now. So some little shit, looking at you, buddy, looking at you, fucked with my shit. Also, drum set tour, Zildjian ride, Zildjian hats, and Dixie crash, which kind of sounds like ass. That needs a new reso head. Well, that speaks for itself. But everything else is fine. I just wish I had a double speed Cobra or some shit like that. Some of you who have these, don't ever buy them. They're absolute garbage. They're not worth your time and money. Trust me. You get 6 months. 6 months tops. And then they crap out. Do not buy a P-Sport moped. So, we are 2 minutes in. Ooh, what do we got here? This is my latest project. Or rather, that is. This, I think I still got some video hanging around in it, and if I do, I'll insert it here. It is a 1985 Toyota Tercel SR5 station wagon. What's unique about this thing? Well, to those of you who have them, don't spoil the secret in the comments. But the second generation Tercel that came to America, I can't specify that enough, was a 4-wheel drive version. Now I know Europe got a 2-wheel drive version of this car, but they didn't get the 4x4 version that this thing is. Now, I have to specify 4-wheel drive because some people say all-wheel drive and some people say 4-wheel drive. There is a difference. All-wheel drive is all wheels all the time. 4-wheel drive is a secondary gearbox of sorts. You have a secondary engagement lever or switch in certain cases that engages the second set of wheels. For instance, with this car, it's primarily front-wheel drive. And engaging 4-wheel drive engages a rear axle in this thing that is a live rear axle, but only in 4-wheel drive mode, which ain't bad. If you do, don't get it stuck. It's not synchronized. It's only meant to really get it out of the snow. Your fuel mileage will probably drop, which is saying a lot considering what this car is good at. And you're probably going to eat up your, what the fuck's it called? Not center section, not differential, transfer box. and probably not have a rear end anymore. Now, back over here, that's a motor and transmission out of a different vehicle completely. I just pulled the thing out. Wow, this actually's got really good light level here. So this is the bottom end of my motor. I'll talk about this in a minute. I just wanted to get that quick zoom in. What's wrong with this car and why I have that motor and transmission is because this thing has a transmission issue. Now, like I said, America was the only one that got this version of the car. The transmission has an output shaft on the back of it. Otherwise, it's IFS, independent front suspension steering rack deal, with a center section that is, let's see if we can get under there, right about there somewhere. And there's something wrong with the shift linkage. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the linkage. Maybe it's the selector forks. Because this thing is a manual, and I love manuals. Here, let me just show you. First, second, third, fourth, third, fourth. Yeah, that's the problem. No fifth, no reverse. And in case you're wondering, yes, this does have the extra low. But it's only accessible in four-wheel drive, and it's a 4.7 to 1 gear ratio in extra low under first. Now, because I can't get fifth and reverse to work, kind of need reverse, would like to have fifth, which is probably an overdrive, which is highway gear, I'm assuming. I don't know the actual gear ratios. I know people fix these things up, and it wasn't bad until a few years ago. But regardless, because America was the only one that got this particular version of the car, I think Australia and New Zealand may have gotten it. I know Japan didn't have this body at all. I know Europe got the body, but they didn't get the four-wheel drive version. That makes part finding incredibly hard. I mean, this is a 1985 car. I'd have to go out to a wrecking yard all the way out in the fucking middle of SoCal or Texas to even have a chance of finding it. It's an original Florida car, I think. Body-wise, it looks rusty as fuck, but it's not that bad. There's very little body rot, and any that is there is minimal at best. The motor works fine. It runs great for being a 30-year-old motor with the original factory gaskets on it still, probably. But if I were to have my druthers, I'd have 3 of these. One as a bone stocker, one as a dedicated 4x4, one as a Mad Max drag car of sorts, which is what this thing's going to be. This is my first car. I want rear-wheel drive, big V8, but I've already taken the hood off, so from there to there, it's about 25.5 inches. And I'm a Mopar guy. Small block Chevy might fit. Small block Mopar might fit. But I'd probably have to cut the firewall back. And I really don't have the room left to do that. I mean, as it is, this thing's a cramped space already. So what's this then? Well, like I said, I'm a Mopar guy. This is a 3.9 liter for all you European viewers, or to us Americans, 239 cubic inches. This is not the 3.9, this is the 239. I have to specify that because the 3.9 is the Magnum block, the 239 is the LA block. Yes, indeedy, that is an LA motor. Not kidding you. Hell, the thing has a distributor. Look at that. Distributor. I mean, admittedly, so did the Magnum block version of this motor, but I'm pretty sure they phased that out past 94. Now, what's nice about this? All you need to know with this motor, 318, 2 less cylinders. Chevy did the same thing. They took their 350, lopped 2 cylinders off, made custom parts just for that V6, and called it a day. That's literally all that is in Chrysler form. 318, 2 less cylinders. And if my math says it's correct, and I have to hit it with a Magnaflux machine just to find out how thick the cylinder walls are still, but if my math is right, I could, in theory, bore that out to a 255 cubic inch V6. Now, what does that mean? Well, at that point, all you would need to know is it's a 340 with 2 less cylinders. Because that bore and stroke, the bore is 3.91 inches, the stroke is 3.31 inches, and with 8 cylinders, that equals 317.5 cubic inches. In a V6 format, that's 239 cubic inches. Now, if I can, not saying I will be able to, but if I can bore it out to 4.040 cubic inches in diameter, that would get me 254.85 inches, which, let's just call it a 255 for simplicity's sake. Let's be serious here. You're also noticing the engine stands. Awesome purchase. Thank you, Craigslist. Same with that motor and trans. The trans, I think, is an A518. I don't think it's a 904. I know it's an automatic because, well, yeah, you might be able to see it over here. It's getting dark out. That there is my torque converter. Incidentally, check this out. Can't really see it all that well, but that's a starting gear track. This doesn't have a flywheel. The gear track is welded straight to the torque converter housing, which I think is really fucking weird. I mean, hey, it means fewer parts, but even still, that means it's got a flex plate that bolts onto the back of the crank here that adapts to the torque converter, and then the converter into the input shaft of the tranny. Now, if I had my druthers, I'd have a 5-speed NV3500 at the back of this motor, which is an awesome transmission because it's a manual. Manual! Yeah! Because manuals are easier to work on in some respects. I can already hear the automatic mechanic saying, "No, they're not!" Fuck you and your planetary gears, buddy. All ranting aside, the reason I picked this motor is because I know I could fit it under the hood. The parts are fairly ubiquitous as far as interchangeability, even if I leave it alone as a stocker. I mean, I know I can port the heads. I know I can at least bore it out some way, a little bit. And I know at the very least, let me just put that back on for the time being, just so that it doesn't get any more water in the crank. Gonna love fucking doing the first oil change. It's gonna be so gross. Gonna be black and orange. Blech. But someday that's gonna be converted to rear wheel only and scream down the road. Firing order, in case you're wondering, is 165432. Simplest firing order to remember, and probably sounds alright. As for the motorcycle, well, we're not focusing on that today. I will get this car working, and I will do burnouts in it. At some point, I will replace the rear end with a Ford 9-inch. I have one sourced already. The guy's not in too much of a hurry to sell it, so getting the money together is not an issue. I want to buy the tranny first before I buy the rear end. That's my drive shaft on the ground. God, it's getting dark out. But I think you've heard me ramble on enough. I guess I'll be seeing you next time, kids. Peace out. Also, if Mike does decide to set up his channel, go check out his channel. At some point in the future, I will link his channel in the description. If not, he might just upload it on my channel as a secondary show. Peace out.